welcome to another in the series of our videos about scoliosis and how beneficial yoga can be for that condition, a condition that I have myself. And this video is about lengthening the spine, and that can help so much because we're not going to just focus on lengthening from sort of your tailbone up through the crown, but also lengthening through the sides of the body, because if you think of your spine more in a three-dimensional way, you've not just got a front and back of your spine, you've got either side of your spine as well. And especially for yours, because the spine is not in a, I mean, nobody's spine is straight, but the curve in people's spine is normally a curve that you would see looking at this side view, whereas ours has also got this curve when you look at the back of the spine. So it's really important to start to create as much space and as much length or space between the vertebrae in the spine, regardless of what shape it's in at the moment, so that when you start to bring this corrective work in more, you're going to be able to have as much, flexibility, if you like, in between the vertebrae in your spine. I hope that makes sense. So we're going to begin. I'm not going to stay for a long time in each of the different poses, but what I would strongly suggest that you do is pause the video, either pause it on your phone or have a timer, and spend longer in the poses that you find particularly challenging. And when we get to the asymmetrical poses, so you're doing it on one side and then on the other side, again, like I said in the first video, spend longer on the side that's tighter and more challenging to do, because that way you're going to start to bring more balance in. So, depending on the lack of length in your spine, can cause this, like, I mean, I've got like a more humped back, even though I do a lot of yoga. So opening up this part and taking your spine in the opposite direction, almost like a back bend, where you need to open up the front of your body, your chest, the muscles there, and you're I suppose you're strengthening really the back of the body so that it's more able to gradually over time find a different position to be in. And back bending is progressive, so if you do like 5 back bending poses one after another, then your spine is going to gradually over those poses start to form that position that you want it to form. So depending on how tight you are in that area of your spine, hopefully the twists in the first video have loosened everything off a little bit in that mid part of your spine. But this is one way of doing it, where you can lie the tips of your shoulder blades on a rolled up blanket, and then your head will rest on the floor. And with your legs, you can take any position with your legs, but I'm going to show you the other options and then we'll move on to the leg position. So if you're quite tight and this feels enough, plenty, so we're going for sensation, you want to feel a stretch across here, then you can swap the blanket for a couple of bricks. Now there's 2, or even a stack of books. There's 2 different types of bricks. You can get the foam bricks, which I prefer because it's just a little bit gentler, or the cork bricks. So I'm going to use the cork brick for behind my head. I'm going to use this brick to replace where the blanket was. So for women, it's like where your bra strap would be, and for men, it's where the tips of your shoulder blades end, same place. And this first ridge of the brick, you're going to line up with the tips of your shoulder blades. And then you're going to take this other brick and rest your head on it. So you're still looking for that opening across here. And as you gradually do this, you'll be able to take the brick higher and get more and more stretch and more opening there. Can you see? So, I mean, I wasn't able to do it like this at the beginning. And you can also raise the height of the brick that's underneath your head. And this is not a good hairstyle for this particular one. You have to try and get your brick so it's not going to wobble around. And then you can choose, you can have your knees bent if that feels better in your lower back, or you can have your legs straight, or if you want to add in a little bit of hip opening while you're here, you can just bring the soles of your feet together and let your legs fall out down towards the floor. I like this one. For me, this takes more pressure off my lower back than either of the others, but we're not all built the same, and that's the beauty of the practice, is you're finding out what suits your body. And then you're just going to stay for maybe 5-6 minutes if you've got that length of time, at least 2 to 3 minutes. Okay. And then you're just going to roll to the side, remove whatever props you've been using, and then you're going to come and lie back down on your back. And just take a moment and just let the parts of your back that were elevated up on your props relax back onto the floor. What you're going to do from here is walk your legs around to the left, and I'm going to cross my right ankle on top of my left. Reach your arms over the crown of your head, and then walk your head and shoulders across to the left as well. And you can hold your right wrist with your left hand. This is called banana pose, and this is moving now into the sides of your spine. So lateral, what we call a lateral stretch, which is a side body stretch. And again, I'm going to suggest that you stay here for maybe 2-3 minutes on each side. So when you're done with one side, you're going to just come back through centre and switch everything over to the other side. And you're going to quickly find which side is your tighter side. And again, staying for longer. This is one of the asymmetrical poses that I mentioned before. And you probably can't see, but the most important cue is that you keep both hips on the floor. So you're not doing this. This is the most common thing that I see. So you're not rolling onto that side, you're keeping both hips down, because that's when you're going to get the stretch all the way through here. So your next pose is what we call pelvic tilts. So this helps to bring mobility into the vertebrae and the space between the vertebrae. So your feet are hip width apart, and you're having the position of your feet so that when you reach your hands down, you can just touch the backs of your heels with your middle fingers. Drop the weight through your feet, drop the weight through your shoulders and every part that's on the floor. And then I'll just move this hand so you can see what you're going to do. As you inhale, you're just going to arc your lower back off the floor, just your lower back, as if you could like slide something underneath it. And then as you exhale, you're going to press your lower back into the floor. And then inhale, arch it away, and exhale, press it down. Okay. So I would say do about 20 of these, not rushing through it, just working with your own breath, just breathing in and out through your nose with your mouth gently closed. And once you get comfortable with that movement and you can feel that you've gradually developing a greater range of movement there, then you can bring that into a slightly bigger movement so that as you inhale, you lift your hips as well as your lower back and reach your arms over the crown of your head. You're hugging your inner thighs in towards one another and you're pulling your navel down towards the floor. That might sound a bit counterintuitive, but rather than just letting your belly push up towards the floor, you're pulling your navel down to protect your lower back. And then as you exhale, you're bringing your arms down, synchronizing this movement with your hips so that you push your lower back into the floor and your shoulders. Because when you've got scoliosis and you've got issues with the lower part of your spine, you can find that when you start to lengthen the lower part of your spine, then your upper back is going to come into that because you've not got that mobility yet. So just go to where it doesn't affect your shoulders. So you're inhaling, lifting your arms up, and you're exhaling, lowering your arms down. Okay. And then from here, just rolling onto your side, and you're going to come up to a seat. And I'll stay facing the side of the mat so that you can see what I'm going to do here. So it's very similar to what you did before. Bringing your feet in and you're walking back onto your sit bones. So it's like the very base of your pelvis, top of your thigh, holding the backs of your legs. And as you inhale, you're going to slide your tailbone or these sit bones back behind you and draw your chest towards your thighs and roll your shoulders back. And then as you exhale, you're going to round in and you're going to pull your chin down toward your chest. You can even take your hands to the back of your head and really pull and get lots of traction through the upper back. So inhale, bring your chest forwards, and exhale, round in and really pull your chin in. Inhale, so that's your movement. And again, building it up from maybe 5 or 10 to maybe 20 or 30 repetitions of this movement. And then from there, you're going to come and you're going to bring your knees underneath your hips. You might need some props for this. So if you have knee sensitivity, you can bring your blanket and fold it up underneath your knees, but you're going to see if you can keep your knees underneath your hips, and that's easier said than done when you can't actually see it, when you're going to do what you're going to do in a moment. And you're going to walk your hands forwards, keep your hips back over your heels, and then you're going to push your hands into the floor, hug your arm bones in towards one another, but you're going to keep sliding your shoulders back, so you don't want to let your shoulders lift up towards your ears, and you don't want to bend your arms. You're trying to get your arms straight. And then this might be where you come to. If you can go a bit lower down, you're going to lift your sit bones up. So you're bringing that shape in, that first shape, where you're like you were arching your lower back away from the floor, but you're just the other way round. So if your forehead doesn't come down to the floor, you can use a blanket. And you can almost rest your arms on the blanket as well. That's how it feels to me. I'm actually resting my arms on the blanket as well. And focus on lifting your sit bones up, hugging your arms in, hugging your inner thighs towards one another. Even though they're not going to move, these are internal engagements which you can't always see. And then the space between your shoulder blades, that section where you had that ridge of your brick at the beginning, think about every time you breathe in, softening there. So when I breathe in, I'm thinking about lengthening the crown of my head forwards and getting more space between the vertebrae. And as I exhale, I'm thinking about really softening the space between my shoulder blades down. And maybe just stay here for like a minute. And then slowly walking your way up. And you're going to bring your legs into a straddle. So you're going to take your feet wide. And unless you're already practicing yoga, you're probably going to find that your legs are pretty tight. So again, this is where you can use props. So you can have a cushion, or you can have a stack of blankets or cushions underneath your hips. And when you elevate your hips like that, it makes it easier for you to tip forwards with your legs straight. And don't worry if you're really tight in your legs and this isn't going to work for you at the moment. There's another video that helps you to stretch out all like the inner, outer and the back of your legs and the front of your legs, so that you're able to do these kind of poses a bit more easily. So you're going to flex your toes. So you don't want your feet to fall out to either side really at the beginning. You just want them to be straight up and down. And then you're going to take your fingers either side of your hips and you're going to push down into the floor and lengthen through your spine. Okay? And then just keep lifting your chest and rolling your shoulder blades down. And then keep pushing your fingers back and see if you can just come forwards and find your depth. And you can adjust the position of your hands so that you're not lifting your shoulders up towards the ceiling. And then lengthen the back of your neck so that we're doing two jobs in this pose. We're lengthening the legs at the same time as we lengthen the spine, because all of the really big muscles that run up at either side of your spine and all the connective tissue that's there as well, they run into your pelvis and connect to the really big muscles in your legs. So in yoga, we look at everything as though it's interconnected, because it is. And you can do a lot of work lengthening your spine, but then all that can sort of be undone if when you straighten your legs, you're pulling back, you're again pulling on your lower back. So I would recommend that you stay here for, again, maybe 4 or 5 minutes. And as you start to get a little bit more movement in your spine, you can use these same props and just make it a bit more relaxed. Once you've got those key actions, you're not letting your legs just relax and go to sleep completely. You're flexing your toes and you're not letting your shoulders slide up towards your ears, and you're keeping that intentional lengthening of your spine on the inhale and the softening and letting yourself relax a little bit deeper into the pose on your exhale. So gradually over time you'll be able to lower the level of your bricks, and that time is something that you shouldn't get attached to. It's going to be different for everybody. Just know that all of these positions, poses, exercises, however you want to view them, all of them are going to gradually begin to improve the shape of your spine and the effects that the scoliosis has everywhere in your life. And then slowly just walk up, and you can set your prop to the side if you've elevated your hips. Just take your hands behind you and you're just going to drop your knees from side to side just to relax. You release your lower back. Okay, so that's the end of that video for lengthening your spine, and I do hope that you're getting some benefit and value from these videos, and that you'll join me on the next one. Thank you.